In a storm cold fear, they bought my voice, then took my tears. When you look at me now, I'm a poster child, hiding all my pain under a smile. And you'll never see me, because that's not allowed. I was born of light, now I'm a shadow of a shadow. But I dream of flying to a sky called me, where I'm singing in the clouds like a freedom banshee.
So here we are again. Who we got here?
My name is, my given name's Richard James, and my straw man is Wooly. People say I've got a couple of identities on Facebook, and I have, but I make it fully known that they're both me.
Now, for the ones who aren't educated, what's a straw man?
A straw man is if everybody looks at their government documents or their licence and everything, and they'll look at their family name or tribe or name or whatever, it's all in uppercase letters. And that was when your parents signed you over to the government that now trades you on the stock market. But if you want, look at Romilly Stewart if you want to know all about that. So that's not my long suit. So.
And what were you saying you were doing before in the 90s?
I originally left school when I was 15 and could hardly read. I could sort of see a couple of words. Maths was hopeless. I learnt to read,
So you taught yourself, and yet
I was given a book that interested me. It was on the Second World War, and I think one was on German submarines and on the Bismarck, and one book I read called They Were Hosed Out, which was about tail gunners in the Lancaster bombers.
Oh yeah.
But and a friend of mine that lived over the road from me in Melbourne, he was a navigator or radio operator on one, and I read his logbook and all the different entries of every tail gunner. Every time they went out, they had a different tail gunner, and that's why the book was called They Hosed Them Out, because when they got back, they'd put a fire hose in the tail gun and hose all the body bits out. Pretty nasty.
Yeah, because they copped it.
They did. Yeah, so that's what got me interested. But then I left school when I was 15, and it's when I started to read, and I worked on a dairy farm. Then my father bought a dairy farm, and he was an airline pilot. So, and I think my first flight, I've still got the record of it, when I think I was 2.
Wow.
And that was in a DC-3, and that was up to Mackay in Queensland, or Mackay, wherever you come from.
Yeah. So that's those 2 propeller planes, the really old.
Yeah. What they? Gee, fancy can't even think of the name there. Yeah, some are still flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from here to Cairns, you'd have to have a few stops, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But Dad was a pilot with. Back in those days, it was ANA. The Australian National Airlines, and he started off in the Air Force, went to Australian National Airlines. They were bought out by Ansett. And the money that Ansett used to buy it was the pilot's retirement fund, which Menzies had loaned him to buy it. Yes. So go back a while, and then Dad was still with them when Ansett bought McRobertson Miller Airlines in Western Australia, because Dad flew him over there, and Reg said to him, when they were getting off the plane, he said, "Ivan, you're coming with me." He said, "Where are we going?" He said, "We're going to a board meeting," and they went to the board meeting of McRobertson Miller Airlines. And probably most people have never heard this story. So Reg rocked into the board meeting, and they said, "What are you doing here, you cunt?" He said, "I own the company." Yeah, so, yes, and also when I was younger, I was, and people talk about being handicapped, where everyone's got their handicap, and we look at what's going on in our society at the moment, where we've got all sorts of different people, and I put a lot of it down to being a sickness. And not a sickness as in sick, but not quite right, different. So I've been handicapped myself, and I'm colourblind all my life.
Oh, colourblind?
Yeah. And
so you wear the T-shirt you wear?
It's coloured. Yeah. Yeah, so...
It's because it's a tie-dye sort of T-shirt. It's actually really vibrant, so it's really interesting that you're colourblind.
Well, I had a friend take us out to dinner at the local golf club the other night, and we're sitting there, and this woman turned up with the camera, and she said, "Can I take your photo?" And I thought, "Oh, yeah, right." She said, "That shirt you've got on," she said, "it's the same as our dart team. We're all wearing the same shirt." Yeah, so, yeah, and I thought I was Michael Gray Griffith at that stage. I was famous, but
So I interviewed you apparently here the last time we came Maryborough in the park. That must be incredibly windy.
yeah, I think that was before the last state election.
Yeah.
And
And since then, you've been to High Court 3 times.
I have applied to go to the High Court
Applied, okay.
4 times.
4 times.
Yes, and I've been knocked back all the time, and of course that's been at considerable cost. But
$3,000 a time, huh?
yes, yeah. But so, and then I ran for with Dr. or Professor Chris Neal. I got involved with him, and he ran for the upper house in the state election, and I ran for the lower house in West Bendigo.
How'd you do?
I got a reasonable percentage of the votes, which wasn't bad because I only had 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I was only given 3 weeks to run, so yeah, that's
Did you consider running again? Or?
no. And when I did run, it was with the Freedom Party, and I ran on the basis that if I was elected, and you never know what can happen, that if I was elected, I would vote according to what my electorate wanted, and not what the party wanted. So I basically said, well, I'm putting myself in treason now, and I will throw my lot on the common law court when I come back and see if I can get a reprieve or whatever. And I said I'm in treason now, like the rest of them. So, but I didn't get in, and I don't know how I would have managed anyway. I wouldn't have been able to keep my mouth shut down there. Yeah.
And that was the first time you've run for politics?
Yeah, that sort of politics. Back in, I think 1985, 86, I ran for local council twice.
Okay.
Yeah, down in the Heytesbury Shire, down in Victoria there. And in those days, it was a voluntary position. It wasn't remunerated like now. I'm dead against local government, which is totally against the Constitution.
Well, how many referendums did we have where we voted yes for councils?
I'm just trying to think. I think there was none.
And how many referendums did we have where we said no to local council?
2 as far as I'm aware of. Yeah.
And if the public says no in a referendum, what is the government obliged to do?
No. Yeah, but do we have a government?
No.
Or do we have a corporation running the country?
Yeah.
As
you said, Julian Assange said the other day, if you want to find Australian capital, go to
DC, Washington DC. Forget the rest. They're only actors. Yeah. And it's a bit like the Prime Minister. If you go after what Wayne Glue said, all they are is the foreman of the house. None of this crap about flying around in private jets and all the other mischief they get up to. It's a bit like all these politicians that get caught out doing something. What happens? Stick them on the back bench for a couple of years, and when everyone forgets about it, we'll bring it back. There's never anything carried out about it. Yeah.
Well, that's like Kevin Rudd and his exorbitant drag queen parties.
And his what, sorry?
His exorbitant drag queen parties.
Well, they're not.
Which we paid for.
Yeah, they're not very expensive. Yeah, even as a retired, supposed to be retired pensioner, you're still paying GST, you're still paying tax, so you're paying for it.
Yeah.
And they're brought in the system, and I can't see why people just don't get more upset about it. Absolute rot.
Why do you think they don't get more upset about it? That's a big question for me too. People seem very obliging.
Slaves. Yeah. Everybody's a slave.
A slave mentality.
We're all slaves. Yeah. But we're all slaves. Some of us realise it. Some of us trying to work our way out of the system, but most people don't know. Everything's fine. But if somebody can, or you got rules and regulations and laws and legislation, all different, and I can't do that. Why can't I do that? Well, it says there's a stop sign there. Oh yeah, but we're halfway to Broken Hill, and I can see 30 kilometres that way and 30 that way, and I'm not stopping. You know what I mean? And it's interesting to watch people do it. They just instinctively obey whatever sign happens to be there.
My funniest thing, we were at Fitzroy Cross, 3 ways, which is up in the Northern Territory.
Yep.
So up to Darwin, down Alice, across to Fitzroy Crossing, and we're hundreds of kilometres, or 100 kilometres at least away from anywhere. And a guy drove past us with his mask on.
Well, I spent we get back to my history, which is I've been there and done just about everything, and I did spend several years in the safety industry, basically on respiratory protection. And when all this came out about the masks, I offered a number of times to debate anybody on those masks, but I never had any takers.
Okay, well, I'll debate you now. I think they work. Why don't they work?
If I get my figures,
That's a lie, by the way, by me. But anyway, just for the sake of argument.
oh, is that a beard you got then? Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, they work really well with those beards. Yeah. It could be a little bit out here, but I think a virus particle basically is 0.003 microns.
Yeah.
And I think that those M45 masks, well, I think they filter to 0.3.
So it can still slip through.
Well, it's like trying to stop smoke going through a cyclone fence. You can't do
We're
it.
stopping mozzies with chicken wire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got more chance of a fly swatter.
So why do you think it's slavery then? Why people wore them? That they're just obliging to? Yeah.
Fear. Everything they do is based on fear. I just wonder how many laws can be made. They've been making laws bring out a law so we can make another law so we can make another law, and where does it stop?
Yeah.
If you go back to common law, no damage, no harm, no problem.
Yeah.
A mate of mine pulled up for speeding the other day out in the middle of Whoop Whoop, and the only other car around for half an hour was a police car coming the other way that got him going too fast.
Yeah. Can I ask, since I interviewed last time, since then to now,
Yes.
how's your view of the country changed, for positive or negative?
Negative. What I say is that I was born back in the 40s. And I said I left when I was 15, and I've worked driving bulldozers and milking cows and you name it, I've done it. And I figure I've made that much to help make Australia great, but I have contributed. And I've seen all that slide. I was unaware, and I was conned like everybody else, I guess, until COVID come along, and you start to do a bit of research and you wake up, a bit like our chemtrails and contrails and sky trails and whatever you want to call it. It's very easy to comment on something because you've heard it from somebody else or without researching it, and that can really put not just other people but a lot of people on down the wrong track. And it's the same with the COVID. When it came fear, what did Andrews come out? There's going to be 100,000 people die. What is it? 2 weeks, 3 weeks to flatten the curve. It's going to take 3 decades. Yeah, and you've only got to look at what's going on. Look at the debt we're in. Look at the debt America's in. Look at the price of gold. Do you know what that's worth today?
Isn't it been going up? I think it was.
Last time I looked, it was, I think, $4,560 an ounce or something. Yeah.
Time to go buy metal detectors.
Well, yes, but now they want to shut the bush up, so you can't do that. Yeah, that's too easy. Yeah. And that's the other thing, they're closing down all that forests. I think the latest thing around here is they're looking for a heritage listing or something. Well, what's going to happen if they get that? Oh, no, you can't go in there. You can't go in there. But put the rates up because we're going broke. I think that this council here, is thinking something like, I allege that it's about $10 million that's gone missing. And I think that's only scraping the surface. It's,
So how do you're born in the 40s, right? So you've grown up with the men coming back from the war.
Exactly.
And you still would have been able to see now and again the men that went to the First World War.
My mentor when I was 15 years old, and I don't know his real name, he was Pop Trigg. I lived with them in the house. And his horse Dolly, I learnt to ride on Dolly. He was in the 3rd Light Horse Brigade, charged Beersheba. And he had 5 horses shot out from under him while he was over there. And he used to tell me stories that I don't know whether should have been told to a 15-year-old boy, but it's and yeah, so.
Can you share one? Anyway, but before you go though, you grew up with that. So that's our ancestry. Yep. These men that went to other countries fighting what they believed was for our freedom.
And my dad in the Air Force, the stories he tells. He had a crash. He learnt to fly at Point Cook. He had a crash in an airspeed Oxford. which put him into the next flight course. He then went into the flying for ANA, but he was Air Force, and they used to fly in certain uniforms, and if they got shot down, they had to change badges or whatever. But what he used to complain about was he spent a lot of his time flying officers from Melbourne or Sydney up to the islands for a week and then bring them back so that they could claim their overseas pay. So the routing's been going on for a long time. He also did a lot of flying around the outback and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think his original pilot's licence was number 100.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so he was a pioneer, I guess. And I had the pleasure of meeting the guy that started Australian National Airlines and his nephew, Jason Hazard. Jason was the first pilot ever to, I think, kill a passenger. Not intentionally, but he crashed on the beach up in New South Wales there somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've met a lot of the originals. I don't go back as far as Smithy and all that sort of thing, but Dad also, he helped Houdini with his airplane when he flew in Melbourne. Yeah, so.
Well, what I'm saying, how did these brave men, adventurers, like your father sounds like an adventurer, breed our generation or this current generation that seems to have lost all strength?
Responsibility and altruism, I suppose. And altruism's not a good thing; it can get you killed, which is what happened. And when I sort of found out what wars were all about, it's about banks. When I found that out, and you look at the sacrifices our guys made, war's a racket. It is. There's a lot of stuff out there on war's a racket, and it is. I have, in my whole life, I've only been to one Anzac Day service because of what I thought. Do you know when that was?
No.
2020.
Oh. Because you weren't allowed to go?
Yes, and there were 6 of us here in Maryborough. Noel Harvey was the Cheyenne engineer. He was there. I think there were a couple of blokes from the RSL, and there were 4 blokes standing at the sidelines that I would imagine were vets, returned vets. So I've known the First World War. I studied it a lot. I was aware of the Holocaust right back then, and I had a big empathy for them until I found out what happened with Israel and the Nakba, 14th of May 1948. Yeah, so I've lost track of where I was going, but
You were the Anzac Day parade.
yes.
20.
So yeah, we went along there, and that's the only one I've ever been to. And I thought if ever a man should be there, that's the day he should be there.
Yeah.
And I say to him, where were you? You stand at your front gate. That's a bit like, did you get the jab? Fear. And you can't go out in the street. There might be a germ come up. Well, when you work with germs like me over the last few years, or when I was on the dairy farm up to here helping a cow calve and cuts on your hands, and even at the moment, I've been working with horses for, since 2005, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had some really bad accidents with them, but yeah, so germs.
I think there's, going forward, I'm of the belief that this is, whatever remedy we have, it's going to be a long one. It's going to take us a while to get there. I mean, do you think there's a silver bullet that can fix this, or what do you think is the way forward to getting back to a country we can be proud of and proud to leave to our kids and grandkids?
Education. And I mean education, not indoctrination. When I say education and people becoming aware, I believe that if everybody woke up to what was going on, things would change just like that. All we've got to do is say no. 2 letters, no. Do not comply. That easy. You've proved it. I think, and as I say, I don't know anybody that hasn't been jabbed that regrets it.
No. Yeah, I haven't met one.
No.
In fact, I usually meet the opposite. The guy, I've lost my house, I lost my wife, I lost this. Do you regret taking the jab? And they go, no.
Yeah. Well, I think most of the people I associate with, I know me and my partner, that both our families have all been jabbed, and we've seen the consequences of that. Had a friend who lost his wife recently, and through unfortunate circumstances, but she had so much on her mind, and that didn't help her being there because she'd gone out so supposedly to protect her granddaughter. So
I've had, while I've only been in Mildura really today, and several people I've met. Oh, not Mildura, Maryborough. And and the amount of stories I've had of sudden deaths and strange deaths, it's like you're getting people telling the stories of an ongoing cult.
well, the whole thing is it's becoming an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It's a bit like house invasions in Melbourne. You're going to get to the point where so not even going to take you notice. But and it's like watching flies drop. It's terrible, and it's not so much the amount of deaths; it's the amount of sickness. It's the amount of sickness, and you get into cancer, and we're getting into mastectomies, which I don't need one, but that sort of thing, and how that can cause cancers and that. And, yeah, it's and the medical system we can get into that, the germ theory if we're going to get into that. Yeah, and I say I'm a conspiracy realist, and most of our conspiracies have come true.
Yeah. We sort of run out of them.
Oh, we might be able to invent some more.
Manifest.
Yeah, but I just on that sort of thing. It's
How do you handle the? Because I struggle with it. How do you handle the constant apathy of people?
what? I don't know that.
But the other people's apathy, where they don't want to listen. Their friends and family, even themselves, are sick or dying. They don't care. It's like nothing, and yet here you are, like banging away, like so many others in the movement, and they're just blank. How do you handle that without falling into despair?
Disappointment, a bit of despair too. But you got to sit back and say, well, this is where we are. How much longer have we got, and what can we do? That's I tried to do my bit. Put your money where your mouth is. So I ran for council, and I have some people have too much to say on social media, but if I don't say it, no one's going to say it. I've been dead once basically, so I'm not scared to die. I'd like to live.
What do you mean you've been dead one?
When I got my leg chopped off and my ribs broken, and the second time was when I broke my neck.
You still got both your legs?
No, I don't know whether I'd broken my leg. I would have broken it 12 months before, because this month 4 years ago is when I broke my neck.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and I was very fortunate that I had excellent nurses look after me at the Maryborough Hospital, and ambulance guys, brilliant. They were also in Ballarat, that couldn't do much for me, then they took me off to Melbourne. So
How'd you break your neck?
you're not supposed to dismount from a horse head first. And it hurt. So I hit the ground and I thought, this is not good. I thought, I better lay here for a minute just to see what's going on. So next thing, somebody turned up, they'd saw what had happened. You all right? I said, I don't think so. So then I had to go back. And I didn't know what to do, so I stood up and held my head. Went back and they said, we'll take you to hospital. We get an ambulance. I said, no. I said, I'll be right. So I thought, I better go and have a shower. So I went and had a shower while I was holding my head up. And they took me to hospital, and as soon as I got there, they came out and they put a neck brace on me and wrapped me up in this thing like a beanbag. And so cut a long story short, I ended up with a Dens 2 fracture of the C2.
Okay.
Was the main bit. So, and that's the same break that Superman had.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you get a break at the top, the Dens 2 fractures in the middle, and then at the bottom is the Dens 3. Christopher Reeve, he had the same break, but I was fortunate. There's only 2% of people with that break ever walk again, so yeah.
Luck's on your side or something.
That's what it is, it's luck, yeah, and good fortune, and I think the
Of
other...
course, you'd be lucky if you hadn't fallen off the horse in the first place, but...
Well, the gear broke, and I bailed out, you see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was... it's what happens when you buy cheap imported leather. And I pulled back and everything just broke and come off, and the horse decided to go that way and I went that way. Yeah, it was a bit like the boat, actually, the same way. When I cut my leg off, the boat went that way and I kept going that way.
Which leg?
This one here.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Wow.
Yeah. So brilliant surgeons. I take my hat off to surgeons. I don't have a lot of time for GPs.
So you've almost been quadriplegic.
Yes.
You've almost cut your leg off.
Yes.
So why weren't you frightened of this maybe virus?
I don't know, but probably because I didn't think it existed, I guess. I don't know. Because they said I had to.
And you don't like being told what to do.
I've been told what to do, so and that's what might have saved me.
Yeah, perfect ending.
Yeah.
But wait, can you hear our children crying? They're calling from all over this land. They're glaring at today's page.